welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. I'm Tundu Abiola.
And I'm Biola Labi. This weekend's governorship and state assembly elections are poised to throw up some very interesting races and subplots in the wake of intra- and inter-party developments, which have characterized the build-up to the 2019 general elections. And to help us try to put some perspective on these unique matchups, we have now been joined from Abuja studio by Baze University Abuja lecturer and public affairs analyst, Dr. Abiodun Adeniyi. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much for having me on. Good morning, viewers.
So, as we said, it is next week we go to the polls for the governorship elections and the assembly. We wanted to just go through with you state by state to get a sense of what to expect next week. But before we start, I wanted to get a sense from you. When we look back at what happened last week and as we look forward to what's going to happen next week, what are some of the things that you think the electorate needs to be aware of? And do you think that we will still be plagued by low voter turnout as we were in the presidential elections?
Yeah, very well. It's okay that we are at the stage that we are in now regarding the presidential election. We are in the post-election period, and like we always say, it is pleasurable, it is heartening that we go to this stage at all. Yes, it was disappointing at the level of low voter turnout, but expectations are high that with the coming governorship election, we should expect more voter turnout because the governors are expectedly closer to the people, they are naturally closer to them, and we expect that that could generate more interest, you know, from the locals. You know, so we should expect more voter turnout in the governorship election because governors are like, you know, they have a special role to play in the lives of people in their locality. And like we cannot overstate the fact that they are much more closer than the president will be, especially in a presidential centered country like our own, you know. So all hopes are high that next week will be better in terms of voter turnout.
We just had two members of the PDP party with us earlier, and one of the things that stuck out for me was that as much as we've been talking about the fact that the electorate is much more aware, the electorate is much more discerning, they said today and debunked that actually the electorate just votes for who they're told to vote for. I wanted to get your perspective on that, especially when it comes to some of the more rural states. Do you believe that the electorate actually differentiates between the parties and the candidates, or is it just about the incumbency and who they're told to vote for? What is your opinion of this?
Oh, yeah, I think that's an interesting one, especially it's an interesting thing to see in a country like ours, you know. Our electorates are rather feeble, you know, their minds are fickle, and they are largely innocent, okay? Excuse me, and when you talk about this innocence, we are talking about, that's short of using the word ignorant, you know.
I think maybe you're looking for the word naivete. Naive? Are you saying they're naive? Or, I don't want to use the word ignorant, is that what you're looking for?
No, I wouldn't call them naive. I would just say they are ignorant, and that's not their fault, really.
He's like, I think you said innocent, and then you now said ignorance. That's where I was confused, but go ahead.
Yeah. I said ignorant because it's not their fault, really, but because of the mass illiteracy that we have in the land, you know. Our illiteracy level is still very high, so it is very easy for the elites, represented by the politicians most of the time, to take advantage of them, you know. So they take advantage of them in different areas, maybe through inducement, through material things. And we have made the point before that because of the failure of the Nigerian state, you know, the politicians, the elites, come in between the states and these electorates, you know. So they take advantage of the failure of the state to provide for them, in many instances, what the state should ordinarily be providing. Okay, and that's why you see the ordinary person will say, I like this politician, I like this man, because the last time I was sick, he gave me money, he treated me, he paid for my, or he treated me in the hospital, or some will say he's been paying for my children's school fees. That's not supposed to be the case. What they are doing in the circumstance is that they are just representing, they are taking over the role of the state. Okay, the man shouldn't be grateful to the politician or the elite. He should rather be grateful to the state in a functioning, ideal system. Okay, so that's the tragedy of space, and I think at some point the consciousness will be there that rather than deifying the politician, rather than looking up to the elites, okay, the state should be made to work better. You know, even if we understand that to a very large extent, the failure of the state is also attributable to the politicians. But it's a ding-dong thing, and at some point we'll probably get better.
So let's, at this point, start our state-by-state analysis. We're putting you on the spot here, Doctor. But because you called it right for the presidential elections, I want you to be confident yes, in all your forecasts. So let's start off alphabetically, Abia State. That is a PDP stronghold in the southeast. APC did markedly better in the presidential elections. What are the chances now? Is it looking like a Ikpeazu of PDP is a shoo-in?
Okay, before we do that, Tundu and Abiola, I think we need to look at some highlights. And it says that 9 of the states under our radar have governors who have done 2 terms and are ready to depart, you know, courtesy of the constitutional provision. And these states are Borno, Gombe, Imo, Kwara, Nasarawa, Ogun, Oyo, Yobe, and Zamfara. And 21 have done 1 term. 21 of the state governors have done 1 term. All of these, except Akin Umweambode, are gone in for a 2nd term. Okay, apart from Ambode was recalled, he was denied a ticket in controversial circumstances last year. Then 7 states are off season. Of course, we know Anambra, Bayelsa, Edo, Ekiti, Osun, Kogi, and Ondo. So election is holding in 29 states, and of these states, 12 are presently PDP, while 17 are of the APC extraction. And we are talking about Abia. Okay, remember Abia is a PDP state, always tending to the right of the center, with a history of strong individual interests. Dr. Alex Oti is strong, powerful, and determined. Okay, the incumbent might need to watch his back. Even so, 60-40, advantage PDP. Okay, and go to Adamawa, where we have Bindo Jibrila. Okay, is a 1-term governor seeking a 2nd term. He has done well in terms of infrastructures and utilities. He's a down-to-earth person, okay? But you cannot underrate the factor of the PDP candidate, Atiku Abubakar. But even so, 60-40, advantage APC.
Sorry, what about Senator Nyako? Let me take you back to Adamawa.
Oh.
Senator Nyako.
Oh, yeah, they are there. Very well. They are also there. Their factors, that factor is also very important. But the argument here is that it's not going to be material enough to challenge the incumbent.
Do you think he will get, do you have any idea if he will get some votes, or will this just really be a PDP-APC fight?
Yeah, it's going to be a PDP-APC fight, I believe. And I'm saying a 60-40 advantage APC.
Okay.
Okay, and then Akwa Ibom?
All right. Yeah, Akwa Ibom, interesting state. We should expect some legal firework afterwards. You know, has always been a PDP state anyway, tending to the right of the center. Okay, but you know, PDP will still coast home to victory, I'm afraid. So 60-40, advantage PDP.
Okay. And then,
okay, and we can come back to the north. Bauchi.
Yes.
We'll come back to the north, Bauchi, where we have Mohammed Abubakar, you know, seeking a 2nd term. He's being buffeted by 2 strong personalities, Ahmed Kurfi, elder statesman, and Bala Mohammed, former minister. Okay, by the end of the day, APC will carry the day, 60-40 to their advantage.
What about Benue State, where the incumbent defected to PDP, his Governor Tom?
Very well. So always moving from, it's a state that is always moving from the right of the center to the left of the center, depending on the preference of persons and their parties. Also a good example of how not to bank on issues in voting patterns from the result of the last presidential election. 50-50.
Wow.
Projection.
So close for Benue State. In spite of all the headlines about the herder-farmer clashes and dissatisfaction with the way the APC government handled it?
Very well. We're a country where we're a country where issues don't really matter yet in electoral matters, you know, in voting pattern. If it matters, you know, the result of last presidential election will not be what it is, you know. There are so many reasons to say that electorate from this region will not vote for this person, or electorate from that region will not also vote for the other person. Okay, but if you look at it generally, you know that issues mattered less. And so will it be again in the governorship election.
Let's go to Borno. Borno has been dogged with a lot of violence. It is actually on one of the hot lists of places to watch out for, based on our meeting with our interview with our security expert yesterday. I would like to know what you think is going to happen here. Okay.
Well, Borno is always a state on the right of the center, but extremely affected by the Buhari effect. You know, so I do not see how any other party will pose a challenge to the APC in that state. So comfortably, I would say 70-30, advantage APC.
Especially because the APC candidate is the commissioner for rehabilitation and restoration. A lot has been made of the fact that he's aware of all the complexities and he has the experience and the expertise. So it makes him more likely to go to APC.
Very well. And he has... Very well, and he has the support of the incumbent as well, or the outgoing governor.
Do you think that there will be violence, and this is a state to look out for, or you think not so much?
No, Borno is not a violence-prone state in terms of election, apart from the insurgency. Don't forget that in the pre-insurgency period, it was one of the most peaceful states to live in this country. But the insurgency redefined the history of the state, unfortunately. But when it comes to election, they are not known for violence. It's not a security flashpoint, really.
Because of the insurgency.
Yeah, I guess it's on the list of places to watch out for, but I guess that's mainly because of the insurgency.
Now, Cross River.
Very well, yeah.
There's Governor Benayade.
Yeah, Cross River.
And we don't, what's going on?
And who else?
He's seeking a second.
Go ahead.
He's seeking a second term. You know, it has recently been on the right of the center with trappings of performances from their leaderships dating back from Donald Duke to the incumbents. Okay, the tension in the opposition will also help the PDP cause. So, 70-30, advantage PDP.
Of course.
But who is the APC candidate? Is it the recently suspended Usani or Senator Ndoma Egba? Who is? Because there's a lot of confusion around that.
Very well, you know, they were in and out of court, suspension, everything hanging around them. So if there's no unity in their house, it is almost impossible for them to pose a challenge to a formidable group like the PDP.
So they don't have a candidate?
Well, as the last time I checked, I wouldn't really care whether or not they have. I'm just looking at the party as a group and the possibility of their challenging PDP, yes.
All right. I checked last night. I still couldn't find a candidate for them, so there was no clear indication who the candidate is. Let's go to Delta State. As we saw earlier, Olorogunmaje Mite has said that this is in the bag for PDP. I would like to get your opinion.
Very well. Yeah, you see, Delta State, like I've recorded here, is a politically perceptive and sophisticated state with powerful individual interests, always faithful in their convictions, only in an unlikely event of an upset. 70-30, advantage PDP.
Well, he did call it. He was very confident about this one, so.
Ebonyi State.
Very well, yeah.
Southeast.
Yeah. Ebonyi, second term seeking governor, Dave Umahi. Good opposition leadership from Minister Ogbonaya Onu and former Governor Martin Selichi. However, where will this take them? Not sure in view of the robust campaign of the incumbents. 70-30, advantage PDP.
Enugu?
Enugu, yeah, Enugu, okay. Governor is seeking a second term as well. And remember, it is a state in the hands of God, like one of their taglines will say. Okay, but how far can the death of Ayegweze take him and the opposition? I doubt, really. So, 80-20, advantage PDP.
Okay. And Gombe State?
Okay. Gombe governor here has done 2 terms. always witnessing what can be termed a seamless succession, the state that is, giving a largely regular understanding amongst leaders. Okay, the Buhari effect might threaten them this time. Let us expect a tough contest, going to be too close to call, really. 50-50, I beg your pardon,
wow,
from my projection.
Wow. And in the famous Imo State, or infamous Imo State at this point.
That's another recent suspension there.
Yes, recent suspension, yes.
Yeah, I think it's okay to hold my breath here and say that this is a state of substantial interest. Sophisticated state, disparate and differentiated acrimony. Many behemoths in contention. Ihedioha, Uzodima, Uwosu, and Araraume. Okay, but who will eventually, who should we give the day, really? I would say Ihedioha, but with the skin of his teeth.
Would you then say this is too close to call?
No. I'm giving it to Ihedioha, but with a proviso. He will win with the skin of his teeth.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Jigawa.
Yeah. Okay.
Jigawa State.
Okay, Jigawa, that's fine. The governor is seeking a second term, always on the left of the center, and often gifted with a certain political savviness. That is the state, really. The Buhari crave will unconsciously contribute this time. Projection 80-20 APC.
Wow. And Kaduna, which has also been a hotbed of activity, but I'm not sure anything's going to change.
I doubt it.
Very well. Yeah, but I'll tell you, Tundu and Biola, that like him or loathe him, El-Rufai passes as a good public administrator, brilliant and ever determined. Unknown to many, is loyal to his conviction and can be a superb tactician. Okay, evidence, the APC success in the presidential poll. And the projection is 80-20 advantage APC.
Yeah, we're not going to be surprised by that.
Now, Kano State, Governor Ganduje versus PDP's candidate, the son-in-law of Rabiu Kwankwaso.
Very well. And he's seeking a second term. Controversies around the governor's integrity, regardless, the state is always on the left of the center and often celebrated for a robust politics. The Buhari crave will unconsciously contribute as well. Okay, projection 80-20, advantage APC.
And I imagine the same trend holds for Katsina State.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, very well. Now we are coming home with Katsina. Any reason why we should think that the tide will change against the incumbents, both the president and the governor? I doubt it. 90-10. Advantage APC.
Okay. And Kebbi.
Yes. Kebbi, well, a second-term seeking governor. The incumbent has been innovative, very creative and achieving. His productivity in agriculture is an evidence. Besides, he's down to earth, and the Buhari effect will help as well. 80-20, advantage APC.
And now to some more exciting movement in Kwara State, where we just also talked
Kwara,
about.
Very interesting as well. Governor has done 2 terms with Atunwa of the PDP and Razak of APC in the forefront of succession. Okay, like you said, this is also a state of interest where an Iroko seemed to have fallen in the last federal legislative elections. Will it rub off? Most certainly, except steps are taken to douse the Otoge ululations. Projection 70-30, advantage APC.
So the Otoge victory was not just a flash in the pan?
No, it's not going to be. I think it's a movement, and the consciousness is deep, but 1 week is a long time in politics. From what I read, you know, the Senate president is back on the field campaigning. So if they can step up their game and they do some more campaigning, well, it might be possible for them to sway some more votes to their side. Otherwise, the game might just be up.
And I guess that takes us to Lagos. Will it be Otoge again or
Ofete?
Ofete. We have to have fun with this one.
And only term. Yeah, the governor is doing a one and only time, courtesy of the Godfather's rich, like it's been proverbially said, you know, but of course we know it's a state of interest. But the challenger, Agbaje, seems to be walking alone and heavily minimized by a limited armory. And compared with the overwhelming machine of his opponent, he will try, but there will not be a deal, I'm afraid. Projection, 60-40, advantage APC.
60-40, interesting.
Wow. Okay, we're going to try to go through this much faster than we've been doing it because we want to make sure we get through them all. Okay. So let's go to Nasarawa.
All right. Nasarawa, yeah, I think it's going to be 80-20, advantage APC. Governor has done 2 terms.
Okay.
But the APC will carry the day, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Niger State?
Niger, 80-20, advantage. Niger, 80-20, advantage APC. Ogun, another interesting result to look forward to, but most likely going to be close between Akinlade and Abiodun. Okay, it's going to be a tight race. I would therefore say it's going to be 55-45, advantage APC. But let's expect some legal tussle afterwards.
Okay, Oyo?
Yeah, and finally here, I think, okay, not yet.
No,
Oyo.
Yes.
It's going to be advantage. Are you with me?
Yes.
Oyo, I'm afraid it's going to be 50-50. 50-50 APC PDP. Plateau is going to be 60-40, advantage APC. And Rivers, here is a state of the Greater Ezekadaka Borough, of Kenule Bessin Sarawiwa, and of Peter Odili, permanently emerged in crisis, unfortunately. It is a flashpoint that needs security attention. Far above who will win or lose. Going to be a tight race. I'm going to hold my breath there. I'm not going to make any prediction. But if you give me a slight push, I will tell you that it's still going to be advantage PDP. But my first preference is to be silent on them anyway.
Okay.
Sokoto.
Okay, and Sokoto, yeah, Tambuwa need to watch his back with a formidable opposition right behind him. In the unlikely event he survives, it will be by the skin of his teeth, but I doubt. So, 60-40, advantage APC. Okay. And Taraba, yeah, that's the second time seeking governor. Ishaku seems a methodical person whose style has helped him and ward off a critical opposition. But it's still going to be his advantage anyway, 60-40 PDP.
Okay. Yobe?
And Yobe is a state. Yobe, yeah, it's a state always on the right, but affected by the Buhari effect and effectively APC. Projection here is pretty simple, 70-30, advantage APC. And the last, but by no means the least, is Zamfara on my list here. Very well. Serious distraction in this state by legal fireworks, banditry and more. Like Rivers, a point for security observation, more than who wins or who loses. Really too close to call, 50-50.
Wow.
Ladies over there.
Even in spite of the challenges APC had in Zamfara State, with INEC refusing to field their candidates up until a court order compelled them to do so.
Tutu, Abiola, I will also tell you something that is coming up in politics. It's not really about reason, it's not really about logic, it's not really about some of these facts on ground. Sometimes the electorate vote in patterns that you can not explain. You know, they shock you with their pattern of votes. And it's one state that has shown evidence of this kind of voting in the past. So I just wanted to stay on the safer plane by saying 50-50. It could go either way, but we should just take it as a projection and against the background of the fact that, like we always say, like political scientists will always argue, the electorates are not always rational, even if we're not undermining their intelligence.
Great. And then, I mean, you also said, you know, no matter who wins or loses, this is a state to look out for from a security perspective. What other states are going to be sort of the hotbeds of security to look out for? And for even the people of the state, the citizens of that state?
I think we need to, apart from Zamfara, Rivers expectedly, then Lagos. But Rivers, most importantly, you know, Rivers is unfortunately crisis prone, and this is an illustrious state with so many distinguished personalities, with a very rich history, and a state that has played a great role in the evolution of the Nigerian nation state. You know, and it's actually regrettable each time you see all these controversies coming out of that state. You expect that the leaders, the political leaders, the governor, and all those challenging him will actually prioritize the interests of their people, the interests of their nation, and the interests of peace and tranquility above party and political, above party and personal interest. I think it's high time they looked at this and think of any for themselves honor, grace, and glory, rather than some of the trivial things that they are pursuing. Okay, and this actually hovers around ego. It is not a time for us to be egoistic. It is a time for them to act like statesmen or potential statesmen, so that their name will rather be written in gold, okay, instead of being apostles of violence and trying to have their way, no matter what it costs. Yeah.
And in Ogun State or Kano or Imo State, any of those states on your list of places to be looking out for?
Thank you. Thank you very much for reminding me of Ogun. Ogun is another unfortunate place. If I Imo, for instance, and Kano as well, you know, the case of Ogun and Imo are really unfortunate as well, where we found a situation where the party at the center couldn't agree with the leadership of the party in the states. And one would have thought that one way or the other, they will have looked beyond who was going to win or who was going to lose. They will have looked beyond who was going to be on the failing side. Okay, they will have prioritized the greater glory of not just the party, okay, but the political system as well. You know, instead of the atomization they went in, creating parties, creating interest groups, and supporting one party against the other. You know, I mean, there's no kind of warfare, no kind of disagreement that cannot be resolved on the table. You know, I would have expected that they would have come to the table and resolve these matters instead of the kind of show that we're presently being made to see. Look, the election on Saturday in those states is not going to be the end of it all. You can bet it with anything that they're going to go to the courts as well, no matter what the outcome is. And this is not really the kind of situation we should be witnessing, especially with the caliber of people on board those states.
Well, speaking of courts, there's the decision of the presidential candidate of PDP to take the legal option in his contesting of the presidential election results. What is your take on this?
Yeah, I think he's right. You know, he has a legitimate right. He has a constitutional support, you know, but again, there's something about not fighting some of the fights that you think you should fight. You know, there's something that that comes to you at the level of reputation, at the level of influence, at the level of grace. You know, when you look away from some of the fights that people expect you to fight, it shows some high level of maturity and understanding. Jonathan, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, former president, that is, did this in 2015, even though he had a right, even when he had a right, when he could challenge the result in court, even when he could muzzle his way as the incumbent, as the sitting president, but he ignored all those and congratulated the winner, the declared winner of the election, as it were. You know, and today Jonathan is an international superstar. He's a beacon of democratic ideals, and he can hold his head high in any circle as somebody who has contributed to the evolution of democracy in this country. Okay, and that's not to say that it's not to put down Atiku Abubakar. He has a right to do it, but don't forget that we say that it's not all your right that you exercise. Okay, and if we have our way, we'll just continue to plead with him to probably listen to what the elders have said, the peace committee elders, the influential, respectable elders, my Lord Bishop, former heads of state, and what they have said, that, well, you have a right to go to court, but can you also waive that right, okay, for the sake of peace in this country? You know, it's just a plea. Yeah. But if he decides to go all the way, then there's another way we can look at it and say maybe it will help us in deepening our democracy, it will help us in deepening our institutions, including the judicial institution, and it will call attention to all the downsides of the electoral process, all the downsides of the electionary process, and help us improve it in the future. So we can look at it in many ways, but the important thing really should be peace above all things, especially in the present circumstances that we're in.
Speaking of not taking, waiving your rights, so like you said, he does have a right to go to court, but he could waive that right. If he were to waive that right, how do you think that, what does that do for his party, for the regeneration and repositioning of the PDP party? And what does it do for him and his political party in the short, medium, and long term?
You know, there's this belief, really, that when politicians lose election, they go to court, they challenge it in the judiciary, in the courts, not because they know they can win, but because they do not want their supporters to move to the other side. Okay, because if you just remain in court, there will still be hope. You keep the supporters in a state of hope, believing that something good can still happen. Okay, I'm not saying that this is the case with the former vice president, but in his own case, he's by no means an ordinary citizen. He's an achiever, an accomplished person in many respects, in the field of business, in the field of politics, and he has been around in national politics, former vice president of this country. By no means you cannot joke with him, and he has built a formidable following, not just within his party, but outside his party as well. So whether or not it goes to court, I don't see it affecting his fortune or that of his political party. Okay, going to court is just symbolic. I mean, trying to prove that there are wrongs with the election. There are so many things wrong with the election. So let's highlight it and let's see if I can probably reclaim my supposed mandate. You know, but it's just at the level of projection. You know, but the argument here is that we can also do without it, even though we are not badgering him down, even though we are not putting him down or you know, asking him to necessarily waive his right to so do.
What would you say is the ultimate objective of, go ahead, of the National Peace Committee in its present consultation with the parties involved?
Yeah, the National Peace Committee is doing a good job, no doubt, you know, and they noticed some gradual tension growing, even though the tension is not as profound as we had in 2015. And they have come out to play the role of elder statesmen, of reputable religious leaders, you know, and religious and traditional leaders, you know. So it's good. What they're doing is okay. But at the same time, let's not forget that the idea of a peace committee itself is an anomaly. It's something that we should begin to look away from our polity, because when you say peace committee, reconciliation committee, there's also the argument, a subliminal argument around warfare, around crisis. So you are coming to make peace, you know. And it doesn't speak well of our polity. And you are probably distracting these elders. We can get them to put their efforts into better use sometimes in the future when politicians begin to conduct themselves well, when they are not necessarily die-hearted about the electionary process, when they believe that it's either a win or lose game. And you do not have to think that if you do not win, then you have to go to war. You know, so it is the attitude of these politicians that are unfortunately bringing out these elders that is necessitating the peace committee. But we need to know that it's not something that should continue. Okay, by the time we start flowing fully on our political plane, you know, anybody who transgresses the law, who goes against the law, you know, should just be made to face the wrath. You know, so you don't need appealing to, you do not need being appealed to comply with the laws by not being violent, by being unpeaceful through the works of a peace committee. But for now, it is what it is. We have to welcome the peace committee because they know what they are doing. They're influential, reputable, accomplished and experienced people. We need to appreciate them and expect that their present efforts will yield some fruit for us.
Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure having you on. We will not be holding you to your predictions, but we will be tracking them next week, and we will probably be cutting to you to discuss some of these predictions. Once again, thank you, and we look forward to talking to you very soon to see how things do turn out.